What I want to talk about in today's video is my personal favorite kayak setup that I've ever had. This is the Hobie PA14. This kayak has turned into everything that I've ever wanted in a kayak. So when I first started, I started with a kayak very similar to that. I started with the 10.5 foot and it was a sit-in. And I did a tournament and my hurt so bad after about 3 hours, and I wasn't able to finish the rest of the tournament. And then I went out and bought a Old Town Big Water 132, which was the first kayak that I ever had that was sit on. And that sit on was a game changer. You don't have the sore butt syndrome. You're able to stand. That was a game changer. So pedal drive was my next thing that I went with doing the long tournament days. And you're having to constantly adjust yourself with a paddle to make a cast. You can't cast and paddle at the same time. It's just not gonna work that way. When I first started, it didn't have a motor on it, didn't have just about everything that you see on it right now. So I'm gonna kind of talk about what is on it, starting from the back, going to the front, because the front's my favorite part. One of my first extra attachments that I ever got on the kayak, and that was the power pole, the micro anchor power pole. It also has a battery pack on it. So all you would do is attach this battery pack to the front, make sure it's in there good, and it screws on to the back. It's an 8-foot pole that will anchor itself into the ground by the push of a button that goes around your neck. With the power pole on the back, I've also got another way to bring it down. Wireless transmitter that will allow you to also put it down just in case you were to ever run out of battery on this. Or if you lose the transponder, then you're good there too. This kayak, I think, is 150 pounds dry without anything on it. So with everything that I have on it now, I would venture to say it's closer to the 200 to 250 range. And then you throw me on top of that, you're closer to 500 pounds. I have had this piece of fishing equipment with me since I bought my first kayak. I've spray painted it a couple times. I bought some Berkeley rod holders and zip tied them to the side of a standard milk crate. And all the kayaks that I've had have had a section like this where you could put a milk crate or something in the back of your kayak. And this kayak also has oar storage just right here on the back. You can just set it there. I don't typically use the oar because I've got either the pedal drive or the Motor Guide XI3. Also got a ton of rod storage in this thing, and that's one of my favorite parts. I usually carry between, I say probably about 9. I usually try to keep 2 spinning rods, 1 panfish rod, just in case you can't catch anything. When in doubt, panfish out. These seats, they're made extremely well. It has 2 or 3 points of adjustment. 4 if you consider the fact that you can adjust this back here and make it a little bit lower, to which I never do. I don't find that comfortable. I find there's more space with it up. But then you can adjust the seat this way, and you can adjust the seat back and forward. So it's one of the most versatile seats that I've ever seen on a kayak. There's a buckle strap right here, and underneath the buckle strap, I pulled out this bottom drawer, and there's actually 1 bolt and nut on the bottom of it to keep it there. But with this storage, basically, if I forgot every piece of equipment, rather every bait, I could go down here and feel confident that I can still catch a fish. Because I have all of my soft plastics, all my hooks, just about anything that you're like, man, I wish I had this. It's probably in here. For my trolling motor, I use Lifetime 12.8 volt, 100 amp hour battery. This is actually their mini. I want to say this weighs about between 14 and 17 pounds. Now that I think about it, I have 2 batteries. One of the batteries I keep in here, and that's what powers my fish finder, which is the Hook 9 reveal. So that's the triple shot. It has the down imaging, side imaging, and GPS. This is also a really nice area for storage. Just small things. I can keep a couple extra hooks and soft plastics in. So the argument has been constantly that there are going to be many, many places that you cannot get a boat, that you can get a kayak. That is one perk. The other perk is the fact that I can throw this in the back of my truck. Even as it sits now, you downgrade it, I can still put it in the bed of my truck and take it wherever I want. The only permit I need is going to be the registration through the state in order to run my trolling motor. However, I don't need to do oil changes. I don't need to worry if my transom's cracked. I don't need to worry about winterization. It's significantly lower cost of ownership. Every dime you put into this ups the value rather than maintain it. Not to say that boats don't have their place because they absolutely do. There's a lot of people getting in kayaks. There's a lot of people getting out. You can get really good deals on them. I think you can get the power poles right now for probably $400. The trolling motor with the battery I paid $1,000 for, and I want to say they're about $1,800 brand new, and it's the GPS model.
And I paid $600 for mine.
Yes.
So you can pick those up pretty cheap.
Yeah, they're extremely cheap if you do it right. I use ram mounts for almost everything, and it works really well. You just put your fish finder wherever you want it, get it out of the way, and you can, anything that has a 2 or a 1 inch ball on it, you can attach to here. I use this for my catch board, and it just kind of sits there. So when you do tournaments, typically you have to have a catch board in order to measure your fish, and they require that you have this brand of catch board. So you actually helped me install the trolling motor. You know, there's tons of videos out there on how to do it, so I'm not gonna explain too much on how to do it, except the short methods that we used to do it. And that is, when you install these, you've gotta buy a 1 objective mount.
Have to.
You have to.
So the one thing I will say about the Hobie versus my kayak is, on the Hobie, you already have places to mount the 1 objective.
Yep.
So with yours, it was way easier than mine because I had to take cutting boards, cut them down to get it to be able to mount to the front. So the PA14 already comes with the mounting ability pretty much.
Yes, correct. Hobie is just well known for putting trolling motors in different motors, even from, I know Motor Guide has some, and then Bixby has some, and then there's some others. Newport's a very popular one. So anyway, so get that 1 objective mount, and then I've got the QD attachment from Motor Guide that allows you to quickly...
Which you have to have as well.
You have to, because unless you have a trailer that's dedicated, even if I had a trailer, I would not want to lose the ability to quickly detach this. In order to deploy this, that was our second issue that most people have with these kayaks. So we drilled a little hole right here. Typically people don't, you want to have something covering that hole so that the friction doesn't wear down the plastic, but so we ended up cutting a cord and using our kickstand to pull that down. So as we pull that down, that releases our trolling motor so that it slides out very easy, which brings us to our next thing, putting it back
on.
Yeah, so we basically came up with a cord, which is what everyone does. There's fancier methods, but just some 550 cord tied around does okay, but we do tend to have to try 2 or 3 times to get it.
So if anybody knows any easier way to get your trolling motor back into its mount, let us know.
You never know how much you need a plug till you don't have a plug. As you are propelling yourself down the river, it's going to create turbulence underneath your boat, and that turbulence is going to create, my guess would be negative water pressure or whatever, and it will force water up into your kayak. This kayak is made to have water constantly come in it and drain from it, but when you start putting so much weight on it and you hit waves in a certain angle, you can get water up in your tubes and just excess water in your kayak that you don't want.
It's not completely watertight either.
It is not, and it's not supposed to be watertight because you need to be able to drain water from your kayak.
You don't have a bilge pump on a kayak, and that's one thing I think a lot of people forget.
Correct.
Is like they put the scupper plugs in there and they get everything going, but you get out on like a lake on a windy day, like I was that one day, and you're absolutely soaked. Yeah. The other nice part about this kayak is it has Hobie's fin technology, and you can kind of see it over there. I don't really want to head over there and grab it because I don't use it that often. Hit the anchor right here and spot lock you. You do not stand while using the spot lock feature because it will quickly adjust you to the wind or current. And I've heard quite a few people have fallen. I haven't made that mistake yet, and I'm not going to. Go ahead and let us know in the comments what you guys like about your kayak, if you liked anything about this kayak. I know a lot of other people use this particular model, but it's not for everyone. So if you have something about yours that you like better, if there's something you think sucks, let us know, and don't forget to follow Big Bass Boys Official for all your bass fishing tips and tricks.